Today we wrap up our three-part series on Habits 101. So far we've discussed how to map our habits as well as the ABCs of habit formation. Today we look at how to design a habit. At this point you may be thinking, sure, all that sounds practical and simple enough, but you don't get it. I've never been self-disciplined enough for a behavior to turn into a habit. To that common objection, Dr. Fogg, the author of Tiny Habits, says, it's not a character flaw, it's a design flaw. In other words, you don't necessarily need to develop self-discipline, although that'd be great too. You just need a better architect algorithms. What exactly is an algorithm? Good question. An algorithm is a process or set of rules to be followed in order to achieve a desired outcome. We have algorithms for baking a cake, laid out for us in a recipe. We have algorithms for performing long division. Does McDonald's serve burgers? AKA divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. And all effective habits follow algorithms. Yuval Noah Harari, the best-selling author of Sapiens and Homo Deus, says that the number one concept of the 21st century is algorithms. When a world-renowned historian philosopher like Harari makes a definitive claim like that, you know it must be important. As we discussed during our series on Goals 101, Gary Keller, founder of the largest real estate franchise, Keller Williams, consistently posed the following question in his Wall Street Journal best-selling book, The One Thing. What's the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Brian Johnson, CEO of Heroic, consistently asks us coaches the following similar question. What one habit could you install that would have the greatest impact on your life? And just as powerful, and possibly even more important, what one habit could you delete that would have the greatest impact on your life? Brian also encourages his members by reminding us that when you struggle to stick with your desired habits, it's not because you're you, it's because you're human. All right, you get it. It's not a you issue and algorithms are important. So what does this look like? Let's give an example of an algorithm for deleting a habit as well as an algorithm for installing a habit. First, deleting a habit. We all know the importance of getting a good night of sleep. And we can also all guess what's the number one bad habit that gets in the way of it. Our phones. Not only does the scrolling until we fall asleep usually keep us up later than planned, but the blue light from the screen also simultaneously prevents the body's release of melatonin, the hormone that makes us feel drowsy, while producing cortisol, the stress hormone that makes us feel more alert, which is great when we're in fight or flight mode trying to survive, but not so great when trying to get a good night of sleep. So here's a great algorithm. 1. Have an alarm scheduled for 1 hour before your desired bedtime, your anchor or prompt. 2. Set the phone out of reach, making it easier for you to avoid the temptation so your motivation doesn't have to be as high. And 3. Do a relaxing activity like reading a novel until you fall asleep. Your behavior. Now an example of an algorithm for installing a habit. Maybe you have a goal of completing some kind of project that you just never get around to. Just like we created a delete algorithm for the last hour of our waking day, let's come up with an install algorithm for the first hour we're awake. 1. Turn off your alarm after getting a great night of sleep because you rocked your nighttime delete habit, which you can celebrate with an emphatic, that's like me. 2. Do your morning routine, making your bed, using the restroom, brushing your teeth. And 3. Spend 30 minutes working on your creative project before checking your phone. That way, you're being creative before you're reactive. Notice that the words creative and reactive consist of the exact same letters. The only difference is the C is more proactive in the word creative. Now you might have noticed the two examples provided were at the two extremes of the day. That's by design. We have far more control over our AM and PM bookends than we do over the middle of the day. So let's turn the spotlight back on you. What habit can you install today that will incrementally yet radically change your life? How about a habit you can delete? Map an algorithm that contains an anchor, your behavior, and a celebration that will ensure it becomes a habit. And remember, you got this.